Hello, my name is Ivan, and today I'd like to present a tool called AppsecStudy. It is open source e-learning platform. I use this tool personally to provide trainings for students and also workshops and tournaments for everyone who is interested in practical application security. So, let's begin. So, few words about me. My name is Ivan and I work as application security trainer at Just Eat Takeaway. I'm also a lecturer at university, and in my free time I do some security researches, participate in bug bounty programs, and do other security related stuff. By the way, just for fun, I have a little async task for you. Can you find the name of the cat from the slide? Please write your answers in the comments. Okay, enough of joking, let's begin. The main goal of AppsecStudy was to help me to provide trainings and workshops. I tried to build this tool, fully rely on my own experience and on my own needs. And during this presentation, I will try to show you a few interesting features that you may find in this tool. Here you can see some links to the platform itself and the GitHub repository. The tool is fully open sourced and it aims to help everybody who wants to provide workshops and trainings for the colleagues, students, and just anyone. There are a lot of different and well-known platforms on the market. So, is AppsecStudy better than all of them? No, absolutely not. Every e-learning platform have their own advantages and disadvantages, and more important to say, they have own view of the learning process. The main idea was to create my own tool that will solve my own needs. Let's briefly review the functionality of this tool. First of all, topics and lessons. So each topic contains of several lessons. Lessons can be theory lessons or labs. Each lab can have different questions. There are several types of questions. For example, where you need to click on the button, like yes question, where you need to provide some answer. For example, you need to find some flag in the lab. Or repeatable question, where you need to find multiple answers for the one question. For example, you need to find all vulnerabilities in some application. You can also add the hints for each question. Each question can have multiple hints. Platform uses cloud providers like Google or Yandex to provide access to the labs and host the labs. Each user will have their own instance of the lab, so they will enjoy the best hacking experience. You can create topics with different structure on the platform. For example, you can create the topic with the list of the labs. The traditional approach that is really simple to maintain and great for learning. Another type of the topic structure is graph. With this type of structure, you can create your own quest and stories, and the user decision will heavily impact on where they will be in this or that moment. Here you can see some little example of such graph. So if user clicks on the yes button, they will continue with the plain lab, if no, with stalker lab. Few times I even created big quests, where users enjoy the role of the intern in some companies. And based on their decisions, users have their own story flows and ending. So, graph structure allows you to create your own quests and games inside of the platform. While solving the labs and completing the tasks, some statistics are also collected by the platform. For each user, you can find information how many labs were solved, how many time was spent on the labs, information about the answers correct and incorrect, and also how many points each user got. And each user have their own page where they can track their own progress. Also, new functionality that appears on the recent update of the platform is tournaments. Tournaments allows you to create and host your own CTF events and quite useful for knowledge checking. Each tournament has its own leaderboard where users can see their progress. The tournament have the same structure and functionality as topics, so you can create linear, structure, or graph structure for each tournament, and make each event unique. On the platform, you can also find some gamification elements, like leaderboards and coins. Users get coins for correct answers. They can spend their coins for the hints. You can specify the price of each hint and the reward for the correct answers. There is also a leaderboard where users can compare their results against each other. This is only few gamification elements. These gamification elements will not make a platform like some sort of a game. And the main value of the platform, in my opinion, is how the learning path is presented to the user. You can add any gamification elements you want, but if these elements can be used by the users, or content is boring, or the learning process is unclear, it will not engage users to study on your platform. Another interesting update. Finally, the platform can be easily launched with Docker. Within few commands and few minutes, you will have your own instance of the e-learning platform. And it will work everywhere where Docker works. By the way, by this link, you can try the old version of AppsecStudy right now. It's absolutely free, and there are a bunch of labs, so you can launch all of them, and maybe you can find some of the labs are really interesting. My presentation is over. I hope you enjoyed. I also provide some links to the AppsecStudy platform and the GitHub repository. Now, let me show you the platform in real use. Okay, now let's take a look at the platform in use. Right now, all users that want to have access to the platform should use OAuth providers like Google. On each course card, you can see the name of the course, some basic information, and some statistics to the course. So, let's take a look at the first course, OWASP Top 10. When I click to the course, I will see a lot of different labs here. There are two types of labs right now on the platform: labs and theory tasks. So in theory tasks, you can read some theory, and to proceed with the task, you need to click Confirm button. In the lab tasks, users will have access to a vulnerable virtual machine. In each lab, there are also some questions. By answering the questions, users will get some coins and increase their score. Each question has also some hints that can be bought by the coins. The main idea that's when users start the lab, they should find the answers or the flags and use this information to answer the questions. So let's start the lab. Each user will have their own virtual instance of the vulnerable machine. In this example, I will use Google Platform to create virtual machines. So, here we can see the current launched virtual machines. If we take a look at the name of virtual machine, we can see the ID of the virtual machine and the ID of user. It will take some time to start the lab. Okay, Now our lab is started and we can click Open Lab. When we click on this link, we will see our vulnerable machine, so we can do a lot of different things with it. And what we need to do, here we need to find some file and name and enter the name of this file. But as I remember, it should be access log, or we can even buy a hint. Yeah, this is our first hint. After we submit the answer for our question, we will see another question. So when we solve all the questions, the lab will be marked as completed. Oh, look at that. When we completed our theory task, our score is increased. So now we see some statistics about us for this topic. So we complete one theory lab and we got the score of 100, and we also on the first place. Another interesting functionality is tournaments. The functionality of the tournaments is pretty much the same as the topics. They also have their own leaderboard, labs, and so on. The only difference is the time when tournament will expire. Now let's click on the lab in the tournament. Look at this. User can launch only one task at a time. So if we want to complete some labs in the tournament, we need to stop our current task. So to do this, we can easily navigate this button, click on it, and click stop. And that's all. Now we can go to our tournament, navigate the lab in the tournament, and just wait some time until our lab is stopped. The lab will be automatically stopped after 1 hour. Right now there is no functionality that allows user to extend this time. Now we can click on the start button to start our tournament lab. So, with tournaments, you can create your own events like CTF events, organize exams for the students, and do a lot of different excitement activities. You can see here the list of the all tournaments are currently active on the platform. Also, each user have their own page in the system and the scoreboard. So let's take a look at the scoreboard. The scoreboard, you can see the list of the users in the system with their score. On your personal page, you can change some information about you. For example, you can change the logo, the name, and some other information. When you first install the system, you need to configure your cloud provider. You can do this in the cloud config. Here you can select the cloud type that you want. Right now, only Google Cloud Provider is fully supported, and you need to set up additional parameters to this cloud provider, like project name, default machine type, zone, and network. You need to also provide the key file from the Google Cloud Platform to use in the system. AppsecStudy uses REST API to communicate with the cloud provider. So all these configuration settings are well documented in the manuals of this or that cloud provider. After you set up cloud configuration, you need to go to VMS, and here you can add your own virtual machines. So you can set up the name of virtual machine and cloud template. So what is the cloud template? Let me show you. For Google Cloud Platform, the idea of templates is images. When you create some vulnerable virtual machine, you need to create the image of this virtual machine. And after that, you can use this image in the AppsecStudy platform. So you can see the name of the image here, Gear 1. So and here is the ID of this image. When you use Google Cloud Platform Provider, all virtual machines will be launched from the images. So after you added all the images here, you can use them in your lab lessons. In the administration panel, you can see all the current virtual machines that were launched by the users. Now, let me show you how the content is created. You can navigate the content in the CMS submenu. Here you can see the list of the topics I prepared. You can increase or decrease the order of this or that topic. For example, we can click 2 and we can make the topic graph to be the first topic on the platform. Like this. You can modify the name and the description for each topic. Each topic contains of different lessons. And topics can have different types of structure. For example, if we click on OWASP Top 10, we can see that this topic has linear structure. It's the traditional approach where users see lessons one by one. With this type of structure, you can easily maintain the lessons with no problem. If you want to create some stories or some complex flow, you should use another type of structure that's called graph. With graph structure, you can create your own stories. The users will have access to different labs by their decisions. For example, in this topic, users will firstly have access to path traversal lesson, and if they complete this lab in 20 minutes, they will have access to the forbidden access lab. If not, they will have access to the mortgage lab. With the graph structure, you can create own stories where user decision heavily impact on the flow of the story. Each graph has nodes that contains of lessons, and when you set up the nodes, you need to set up the roads. Each road can have 3 conditions: success, fail, or none. Now, let's take a look at the lessons. Here you can see the list of the lessons that I currently have in this test environment. So I prepared 3 lessons. There are 2 types of lessons available in the system: theory lessons and lab lessons. In theory lessons, you can modify the content and provide the users with some valuable information to read. You can also specify the number of points that the user will get after they read the lesson. In the laboratory lessons, you can also edit some content, and you should choose a virtual machine that will be used. After you create a new laboratory task, you can set up the questions for this lesson. To do this, you can click on the question button. Here you can see the list of the questions for this lab. You can also change the order of this or that question. You can create new questions, and there are several types of questions available. So yes button, where user just need to click on yes and there is nothing else to do. Single answer, where users need to provide some answer for the question. Repeatable answers and vulnerability search. They are pretty much the same. The main idea that users should provide multiple answers for one question. For example, let's create the repeatable answer. Each lesson can have hints. We can create our own hint, and for each hint, we can specify the price of the hint. With different types of questions and hints, you can create unique solving experience for each lab. The tournaments management are pretty much the same as the topic management. You can also create a new tournament. You need to specify the start date and the end date. You need to select the type of the tournament, should it be linear or graph, and create additional tournament you want. Because one of the most valuable things in each e-learning platform is labs, so I store the content of each lab in the GitHub repository. In this repository, you can find the source code for each lab with information how to set up this lab in the cloud with the solution to each lab. So you can use all of these labs freely in your workshops or trainings. I think this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video and will find this platform quite useful in your workshops and trainings. Thank you. Bye.